Welcome to Exit Frag. I'm Zeph. I'm joined by Esports Andy and Forefather. Today we will be talking about the VCT Masters Bangkok Grand Final between G2 Esports and T1. That was a hell of an event, guys. It might be the best Grand Final ever. Right
Yeah.
behind Loud versus Optic.
Yeah.
What wasn't that a 3-0? Wasn't that a 3-0?
3-1.
3-1, really? Oh shit! I forgot Loud got a map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the
Wait,
first
which one are you talking about?
I was talking about the champions one.
Oh, okay, yeah. 3-1,
Anywho,
3-1.
focusing on the actual topic here. These two teams had incredible history coming into this grand final. Tomorrow we're going to recap the rest of the tournament, so if you're into that, subscribe, like, leave a comment. It helps out the channel. But G2 were walking in here. They had previously been the Guard, and they were at the same international event that we just talked about before, which was Reykjavik, and then they bowed out the rest of the year. They were denied partnership, and they had to go to Tier 2 and become the Guard in the Ascensions format. They win Ascensions. They're denied again entry into the partnership program, and then because they didn't have an org, the people rallied together to get them back into VCT, and Riot ended up making them sign with G2. They struggle all of last year, falling short on every single event that they attend. And then now, finally, with the addition of Jimo, they have made the international event. And not only that, but they've made grand finals. And unfortunately, didn't quite get there. Now, for T1, they are the DRX core, and they also have a history of not doing great. Anything past like third place has never happened for them, and into some details I'll get to later. DRX is just kind of like a mess up until they released the rest of the Vision Strikers core, the DRX team, and now we see finally Buzz and Stax in their first international event, bringing it home for those two guys. I know I was long-winded, but let me know your guys' thoughts right now.
It was a win-win. Like, I think we could all kind of agree. Like, I like both these teams. I thought the journeys up to this point were so incredible that like either team winning was so much fun. I thought it was cool that Buzz broke the record, like took it from Durka again, the kill
Yes.
record again.
Took the kill record.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And what can you say? There's like multiple overtimes. You finish last round. There's from round 3 on or map 3 on. It's just like cinema. Like
Yes,
it's
literally.
things of like legend.
Yeah, I had work unfortunately, so I couldn't watch the first two maps, but I heard there was a Reyna pick somewhere in there, which was like
Was indeed
crazy. Crazy to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, look good too.
Yeah.
Not on the stat sheet, but when in terms of like retaking, the flashes were useful. I'm not sure if it was better than the alternative, but it looked fine. Like it wasn't like horrendous. Usually I'm not a big fan of Reyna players, but it's also Meteor, so he can play whatever he wants in my opinion.
No, he's the APAC GOAT now, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one too. I was saying, like, I think last week or something, if Jimo won this tournament, was he like the GOAT or something like that? Meteor is slowly building like a little like resume of like if he wins another
nice with
trophy sometime, like especially if he wins it on another team, like if he goes on to like DRX, if he goes on to DRX then wins it for them too, he gives it to all three.
Oh, he's the man. His careers go.
I was wrong. I thought Meteor was gonna be a Gen G player for life, and that didn't happen.
Not
But
at all.
I doubt. I'm telling you right now, I 100% doubt T1 are gonna let go of Meteor ever, and it's mostly because they see the power in brand recognition, and they have Faker obviously on the league side. They want the next GOAT in Valorant too, considering how popular Valorant has become. So they want Meteor for sure.
And like to me, I still feel like my goat, and I'm so glad he won, is Buzz. Like he's the South Korean goat to me because I just love how he plays.
Oh no, dude was frying. Okay,
He's great.
so I'll tell you this right now. Me and my dad were watching this match at like 5 a.m. and my dad doesn't watch Valorant. He's like a little oblivious to what happens in a match or how to understand the
Mm.
utility and stuff like that. My dad was getting into it. I don't know how, but something clicked in his head and he was like, I understand what's happening in this game now. I'm like, oh,
I understand
sweet.
it now.
And he, dude, okay, because my dad was rooting for G2 because if you think I'm America's pilled, like he's America's pilled to the max. Like he loves America, as in the continent. But anyway, he was rooting for G2 and he was rooting for Valen. He was rooting for Leaf. He was rooting for Trent. He didn't know the other two guys too well. But he fell in love with those
Or
three
Jonah
guys.
P.
Yeah, Jonah P. It's because Jonah P. didn't profess this game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anywho, my dad wanted Buzz dead so bad. Like every round, he was like, "You gotta kill this guy, Buzz. Like he's gotta be dead." And I was like, "Dad, I couldn't agree more. This guy Buzz is ruining it right now." So yeah, Buzz definitely like popped off, but
On a couple of maps.
oh yeah,
Oh, and
on a couple of maps, especially that neon on Pearl. Like, dude, I was so nervous watching that.
I'm just happy that Izu's getting his flowers now because I had been talking about Izu since last year. I was saying when he like with him on T1, and I thought like with Saya player and stuff like that, I was like, oh, Izu's gonna like fry. Izu's gonna be, and he was good. Like, but I'm so happy that now everyone's like, oh wow, like Izu's pretty solid. Like he's serious business, and he showed that in a couple maps when he would like the Yoru with Raze was fun. I really liked how, like, I just kind of like how this team plays. I don't know if they'll get to another grand finals or even a top four again this season, but this just felt like their moment and they took it and they won it 2 overtimes in a row, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Go ahead.
I was overjoyed. I love Sax. I love Buzz.
Yeah.
I was rooting for G2, admittedly. But for me, it was also a win-win situation. If you look at my channel, the two kind of videos that like I first made with like my voice and stuff that weren't just like compilation montages. The first was about DRX and the second was about the guard. So like this is legitimately like the two teams that I've been following the longest. I would, it's not like I think you need 3 players for like a core, but if there's 2 players that define DRX, it's definitely Stacks and Buzz.
Yeah.
I would add Mako to that. But unfortunately he's in jail. He's in DRX jail. I still root for DRX as well. I think they have a lot of potential with their young guys, but no, this was a fucking amazing game. Like I went back and watched the VOD. Normally, if I miss a match live, I don't go back and watch the VOD because I just don't care. Because I've already had the results spoiled for me, and it's hard to like pretend like I don't know what's going to happen. I went back and watched this VOD for one because I had to talk about it, but also because, dude, I kept when I opened Reddit that morning, I kept scrolling past like clip after clip after clip after clip from the grand finals from both sides. So I was like, okay, clearly everyone was firing on all cylinders, and that is exactly what happened. Like there were multiple ace clutches in this series. Like that's insane. That does not happen normally. But that happened here. I caught live the last overtime for Pearl, like the last 2 rounds. Legitimately, I clicked in right when T1 won. I was in shock. I woke up discombobulated. Now listen, I'm on East Coast. It's a little bit embarrassing for me. I woke up at 11:30 a.m. bright and early, but I saw TMV stream was still on, and I was like, oh, something must be going on. Like, maybe the show match took longer than I thought. I was like, maybe the show match was a best of 3. Surely this isn't in map 5 overtime at 11:30 when this started at like whatever time. It was, and I'm glad I caught the last couple rounds. I saw the Stacks and Buzz hug. That was very fulfilling for me. But no, it was a great series. It felt like, as much as you would want to be like, oh, G2 choked another one away, this was anyone's game. I mean, this is like legitimately some individual plays away from a G2 3-1 or a G2 3-2. So it's like it's just I don't know, it's a matter of chance. T1 won, and that's fine.
Well, I'm like right now. I'm trying to like go through this whole grand final because there's so many. Like, I just want to make a whole video on all the micro moments that happened that led up to like because these maps are so absolutely close that like literally like nanoseconds of like the bomb exploded. Like I think there was a round where if he had killed someone from what like if G2 killed someone from one way, they would have defused it, but they were just like 2 steps too far to defeat. Like it's just insane how much the game was like, within inches for either team. Like G2 could have easily lifted it if like one thing happened different. Like
that's why I would have felt a lot more disappointed had they actually choked, but I don't call this a choke. This was like
at the end.
This was just both teams playing really well, and I think the winner was ultimately, you know, all of us. We got to watch it, but
yeah, we got to watch Valorant.
It was fun.
I saw some people like, you know, saying Leaf underperformed. They were very obviously antiing his chamber. I don't even know that much about Valorant, but you could tell that they had studied his chamber on Abyss. They were specifically avoiding it. They had antis specifically for Leaf. I think that what Valorant fans don't understand is that in and of itself is value. Like if your presence is that important that the team spends time prepping specifically for you, that's also value. So I think, you know, had Leaf popped off a little more, sure, that could have also turned the series. But I don't think you put this one on anyone in particular. It's just this is how the match turned out. So.
And when you look at these two teams, there's not like everyone's like pretty like when with Sylvan like performing, everyone's like incredible. Like everyone's been at the top level for like at least a little bit now. Like they're all. This is the thing about Valorant being now in its 5th year, that we're getting these things where like the top teams are just like full of like players that have proven themselves over and over again, and it's just a matter of the day. Like at the end.
I would agree. I also would say condolences to Leaf. He tweeted after the game that his mom passed away like
what
on February 2nd. So
man,
I feel like a lot of people don't understand that like Leaf is 21 years old. I'm older than Leaf. I cannot imagine losing anyone in my life, let alone like my mother 1 month before I'm supposed to go play in the biggest tournament of my life. Like that's insanity that he even showed up, in my opinion. So full props to him to even play through that. And yeah.
Because like remember like when Tens was going through, like he was underperforming and people were like dogging on him, and it was like his wife is going through like cancer treatment and everything. These people have like lives outside of it, and it's like so incredible when they are playing at such a high level and pushed it to like he's still such an incredible player. And he's one of the most flexible players for this team, and he's such a core piece to what makes this team work. And that's why they got the map bit. Like they came into the grand finals on the winning side.
Yeah. So, full on condolences to Leaf. That is like
that is crazy. I didn't even know that.
Insane dedication to the game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to talk about too much about Leaf because I had no clue that was the case. But what I will say is that I definitely do think that Jimo wasn't as explosive as people would like him to be, and I mostly attribute this because he's playing a lot of Yoru on these maps. And so I'm not saying he's bad at Yoru, but I would not consider him like the best like Yoru that I've seen. So I think it undersuits Jimo's playstyle just a little bit, because when I think about Jimo, I think about him on that iconic jet play that he has, and then on Raze, obviously, that he was the dive aspect for Demon 1 back in EG. So to me, he's like super explosive. And I'm not saying Yoru doesn't have that potential, but it's definitely dialed down a little bit with him. And I know that they want to play stuff that's more meta, but I could have seen Jajimo play Raze or Jet on either of the last two maps, and that would have still been successful.
Yeah. I thought Ja was good. I got no complaints about how he played. I feel like he was big in the clutch for sure. Again, I'm not a big brain analyst, or I don't really look at games too terribly close. But for him, he played about as well as I expected him to. I mean, a lot of people were calling him a grand finals merchant because that seems to be where he plays the best. Is like he just turns up in grand finals. Um, yeah, I just think he's a good Yoru. I think the team just doesn't ask him to get crazy entry plays, and so he doesn't do it. Like, it's definitely more of like a supportive Yoru, which I think is the meta on how to play Yoru. Anyways, most teams play it like that.
Yeah.
But I do think like I would not anticipate Jogamo ever being a problem for this team. Like he can have an off game, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't foresee any consistent underperformances. I still think it's also difficult. Like we do have to remember, we're still at the beginning of the year. As drilled and as good as G2 look, you know, we're still at the beginning of the year after all. So like, not everything's going to be perfect and not everything's going to be fleshed out. But I think G2 will be back. I'm not sure about T1. I hope they're back because I like Stacks and Buzz that much. But this did feel like a damn movie plot where like, you know, this is their moment. They had plot armor. There was some crazy plot armor. So we'll see if they're back. I hope so. This is a great game. So also, I've been seeing people say that the lock-in final was better than this grand final. You're out of your fucking mind. Go back and watch the lock-in final. That shit was boring as hell until the last map. It was not an entertaining series. This was by far the best grand final. Typically, grand finals are not that great in Valorant. I think I've watched every grand final. This was the best one. It's not even close. It was the closest. It was the most exciting. It had the craziest plays. Fanatics, their comeback was cool. Also, the crowd was insane for this match. I feel like props to the crowd. This was like, I've been so disappointed with the crowd setups and the arena setups since Champs 2023 in LA. I remember last year I was watching Madrid and I was like, bro, is this fucking like Reykjavik 1? Why are there 50 people in the audience and why does nobody give a shit about the game going on? This crowd was insane. They were nuts. They elevated this game to the next level. And if any crowd deserved like a game of this quality, it was definitely them. Like they made this feel like a huge deal. So
Yeah.
Props to the crowd too. Let's just give props to everyone, man. Everyone did great. Good job, production. Casting was awesome. Oh yeah. Also, big shout out to Achilles. I love him. He's a classic Overwatch shout as well. So
Nice.
a lot of Overwatch happening here. A lot of Overwatch.
One thing I like, and my only thing about G2 is I think they're just slightly unlucky that the meta is like a little bit not completely in their like favor. I think they're fine in the meta. Like they almost won a grand finals in this meta. I think, and that's why Jajimo is playing Yoru all the time. Like he only played Yoru in the grand finals. I just think it's because the meta isn't perfectly to what they love. Like they're the absolute best at, which is why it's so impressive that they could do this. So I'm hoping, especially we'll talk about the new agent soon. I'm wondering if that will change up kind of how they start intriguing, especially with how powerful this Spice. And I think Deadlock got a little bit of a buff too with the new patch notes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying it's a buff. They basically switched the Gravinet and the wall. So Gravinet's her signature ability and it recharges every 40 seconds. So
I could see Jajimo, like maybe the meta switches again on for the entries and he doesn't have to play Yoru as much.
I loved his Deadlock, dude. When he was on EG, just running it down on Deadlock. That was like, I watched a lot of EG games last year just because of Jaw. And like, especially later in the season when they were like beating Loud, beating Sentinels, dude, oh my God. Just like no one else plays Deadlock like him. I hope he plays Deadlock a lot. I for whatever reason, I enjoy playing and watching Deadlock. Like, I love util combos and like nerdy shit like that. I think it plays right into what they're good at and also plays into Jog's skill set. So I could see that being pretty good for them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say that like just because I'm like bringing up some of these G2 points doesn't necessarily mean that I think that they did bad or anything like that. These are just like my minor nitpicks as far as G2. Um, Going forward, I do think G2 are going to be able to swing back into things. I think they're gonna go on a tear on VCT Americas again, and it's gonna be a interesting stage one as we go into it. I don't really have too much. Oh yes, actually, I forgot. Press conference. Nothing too interesting going on for T1, but for G2, I mean, Jesus. The room was very tense, and you can see that on the video.
I dude, I haven't watched a press conference in forever. You're tapped in.
No. Okay. I usually don't watch press conferences, but they had one for G2, and the first thing that they asked is like, what are like some silver linings about like losing? And then like I'm just like, oh my god, this is such a like awkward ass question to ask, like
Yeah.
especially after they just lose. But I guess someone's got to ask something, and like the room is just like quiet for like forever, and then like Valen's like, you know what, guys, like, I'm really proud of the guys here. Like, dude
Can't
is
always
literally,
count on Valen, bro.
but dude is literally
Signature
like,
Valen response.
he's
That's his
like-
dialogue tree.
he's like answering like this. He's got like his face covered, and like dude is on the verge of tears, and he's
Dude,
got like press conference questions happening. And I'm
I
like,
love Valen, bro.
They lost. I just couldn't
so
imagine losing
goated.
2 overtimes in a row and then have
Yeah, no, that's just rough.
with like the dumbest questions.
there was so many times that they could have closed it too. That's the insane part.
Yeah, and I guess like we haven't been talking too much about T1 just because like T1 just went on like there's not much to say other than like T1 is just they went on a beautiful run and it was like so sick and they were all just playing off of each other. Like you have to watch the game like to really feel how they were playing.
You can't just like look on a VLR page and figure out how they won. Like you actually have had to like watch the grand finals and just like the amount of things T1 were able to pull off to get this win is just like insane.
I will say one thing, specifically on Haven, they abused a protocol that G2 had, where they would, if they gave up a kill on site, even if they got another kill, they would just abandon and retake. And then T1 would just push and be super aggressive, and just they would be at like different spots, get the kills, win the duels right away. And that was the thing that would keep happening. That's why they ran away with Haven a little bit. That was why it was like one of the bigger maps. And then after that, it was just micro plays.
Yeah. So yeah, I expect G2 to come back. T1, I think I think we'll see T1. I think they're like sneaky good, even if they don't end up winning Pacific again. I think they'll definitely have like good showing.
Oh, and also now they have like so many. They have 7 circuit points, so they're like guaranteed to make
the champions. Yeah.
So like we'll see them again, and I'm interested to see if they, for some reason, don't make Toronto. I'd love to see how they can kind of like continue the season, but I could see them kind of fading off.
Yeah, I would say the same. Hey, man, I just hope everyone had fun, right? I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
And we hope you had fun watching this episode of Exit Frag. Like, comment, subscribe. We are going to be back tomorrow with the recap of the best of the rest. For Father and Esports Andy, I'm Zeph. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.